welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week edition of the program, we'll be focusing on the ITUC 5th Delegate Conference happening here in Kenya. We also have news stories for you. We will be right back.
The Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, Petroleum Tanker Drivers Lagos Zone, has declared confidence in the leadership of NUPENG led by Williams Akporea as President and Olawale Afolabi as General Secretary. The Lagos Council Zonal Chairman, Tayo Aboyeji, made the declaration during the union's emergency meeting.
We have been training our staff, both units, branch, and even national. We have been going even the local training, international training. Some people are just coming back from Turkey. Some of our members just coming back from Kigali. Some have traveled to Switzerland. Some to Kenya, just because of training, and they came back and trained others. The leadership is represented by the President, Comrade William Akporea, and Comrade Olawale Afolabi, the General Secretary. We believe in them. We see them as stabilizers. Since they came in on board 6 years ago, the union has been progressing. The member welfares are the priority. So I can say without sentiment that President Akporea and the General Secretary are the best President and General Secretary NUPENG has ever had.
The union's national trustee and the former chairman, Peter D. NUPENG, Salimon Oladiti, while addressing members of the union, said adequate information was key in ensuring stability within the union.
That awareness is part of our life in NUPENG. So we are always at alert. We know what is on. Let me give you a typical example. We attend a seminar in business, Rome Business School, where the resource fellow is a professor from UK. He said, you union, you are killing your country economically. Why? Whenever you have issue, you call for national strike. If you have issue with state A, why can't you face that state squarely and leave the rest 35 states? Since we have been doing that, even the federal government of Nigeria recognized NUPENG. The way they recognize NUPENG is different for others because all what we are doing is decent. We are not crazy. We just do what is right.
The Petroleum Tankers Drivers branch of the union had been having leadership crisis following a delegates conference held on the 31st of October in Ibadan.
It's the opening ceremony of the 5th Delegate Conference of the International Trade Union Confederation Africa in Nairobi, Kenya. Delegates from 52 African countries gathered to discuss challenges facing the world of work and propose solutions.
It is fundamental that the right to strike is seen as an integral part of the ILO Convention 87 on the freedom of association. There is no freedom of association without the right to strike. The right to strike is fundamental, and it has brought us where we are today. Nothing has been decided yet on this, because it's in the hands of the International Court of Justice. But let's cross our fingers that the International Court will confirm our view. We are the largest social movement in the world. We are also the largest defenders of democracy. Being the largest movement defending democracy, we are unfortunately also the first targets of those that want to destroy democracy.
The Director General of the International Labour Organization, ILO, assured workers of joining ITUC Africa in the campaign against xenophobia and discrimination against free movement of workers within the continent.
The coalition will increase multilateral cooperation, partnership and actions on the ground in order to advance the social justice and decent work for all, the fighting against inequalities, the fighting for equal access to opportunities, the fight against exclusion has to be at the core of our daily work. The coalition's work is also a contribution for the UN Social Summit in 2025 and the post-2030 Global Development Framework, the Social Summit that we all hope will be endorsed or decided by the resolution of the UN General Assembly by the end of the year or so.
The President of Kenya presented awards to labor leaders who have served the movement meritoriously, including former President of NLC and ITUC Global, Ayuba Waba.
This being the case, we are fully seized of our mandate to advance the social dialogue agenda in honor of the solidarity with which our labor movement has promoted, sustained, and defended our freedom and our development. Measures like the full implementation of the NSSF Act 2013 was certainly overdue, requiring urgent action in order to guarantee dignified retirement for workers and the protection of retirees from old age poverty, as I have enumerated earlier. Our determination to actualize the best standards of worker protection and welfare has inspired us to endeavor to align our labor policy framework with all international labor standards that have been ratified by Kenya, including the upgrading of our occupational safety and health, as well as work injury benefits regime.
At the ongoing ITUC conference happening here in Kenya, several discussions were made, while the highlight of it is the essential collaboration of African workers for national building across the continent.
I think it's timely and it's apt. So based on the situation workers in Africa found themselves, especially without social security, without social justice, I think it's high time that the leadership of trade unions in Africa should wake up and ensure that our workers get living wage across Africa. On this note, on behalf of the leadership of Medical and Health Workers Union of Nigeria, the largest health workers union in Africa, I wish to congratulate our mentor, the global president, the immediate first president of the ITUC, and the immediate first president of the NLC, Comrade Ayuba Waba MNI, for the recognition by the ITUC Africa. I think this is timely, and on behalf of the entire workers of Nigeria, we congratulate him and we are proud of him.
Honestly commend the ITUC Africa, and also to confess or admit that the time of the conference is apt and is timely. If African workers can come together to have a very solid collaboration, I think a lot of challenges facing the working class in African countries will be addressed properly. So I think the time of the conference is apt and is timely. I think climbing to this ladder of award outside his home country, I'm not surprised, because if you trace the record of Ayuba Waba, I think he deserves more than that. So it's a challenge to us, the leaders. Maybe he groom. We should try as much as we can to double our effort. We know at the end of every hard work, there will be a fee. So I think Ayuba is cultivating as well as reaping what he has planted long time ago, not only to Nigerian workers, but to the workers around the globe. So I want to use this opportunity to join my president to congratulate Ayuba Waba. And I'm sure a lot of it are coming, more of it are coming in future.
There is a need for us to rethink decent work in Africa. You will agree with me that the only central and available means of fighting for decent work, which is our right to strike, is very key for us. It's very key in the sense that that is the only way we can have a fair deal in the world of work. So it's something we are looking up to ensure that we bring up new ideas, we share ideas, even in the within the African continent, so that at the end of the day, we can all go back to our various countries to ensure that workers indeed have a fair deal in the world of work. It's also pertinent that people honor their obligation. It's not right that government enter into a negotiation or understanding with trade unions and they renege midway. So it's also for us this conference avail us with an opportunity to share experiences with our colleagues to see how we can navigate and ensure that when government sign agreement, collective agreement with workers, they honor it. It's very key for us.
It's good to have you on the program. A lot has been happening in the African space, and congratulations on the award that you just received. What does this mean for you, and what does this mean for Africa?
Well, the award means a lot to me because when you are out of the system and you are called upon to be awarded, I think it makes a lot of sense. Not when people are in office and they try to manipulate all manner of awards. I think it's something that I will cherish all the rest of my life for having worked for the global trade union movement and being recognized at this very colorful event. I think it's something that I really appreciate. It means that all our efforts have not been in vain to work around the world and try to canvass for workers' rights and trade union rights, and also in some cases try to engage in a very profound manner. I think it's something that I really cherish.
Several discussions during the ITUC conference emphasized the need for collaboration across the continent because our challenges are the same. How would you react to this as the immediate past ITUC global president?
Yes, the conversation around the world today is certainly about social justice and fair globalization. If you look at the inequality, particularly in Africa, is very perverse. And from one country to another, the level of people being pushed into poverty is increasing by the day. So basically, social justice is about getting everybody on board and making sure that nobody is left behind. And also to compound the issue is the issue of just transition. Because whether we like it or not, there have been a lot of transformation in the world of work and also with digitalization. And many things are happening. So with digitalization, it means that there will be transition from the way we do things into a new form of work. And we need workers' new skills. Workers also need to be carried along. And therefore, that's why the issue of training and retraining remain very important and sacrosanct in making sure that no worker is left behind, and workers should be able to also acquire new skills in digitalization. And as we go into the Industrial Revolution, I think it's important for every country and the tripartite, both employers, workers, and governments, to take the issue of just transition seriously because it's like many parts of the world are already at another level of development, and we need to follow very quickly. Our educational system needs to be changed, and importantly, everybody needs to have the requisite knowledge and the expertise to be able to fit into a new globalized world. That is what is very important, and that's why the conversation here at this very high-level event is about a just transition.
Child labor seems to be a very big issue in Africa. How would you react to it? What are the practical things that need to be done to put an end to it? Do you think social security, having a robust social security net is one of the answers to to this particular challenge that the African child is faced with at the moment?
Yeah, social justice is at the heart of peace everywhere. If you look at the number of conflicts around the world and even wars, the underlying factor is lack of social justice. And therefore, if we need to have peace, just as the ILO Constitution have envisaged that you cannot have lasting peace anywhere around the world without actually addressing the issues of social justice. So democracy around the world must work to actually address the issue of social justice and address the issue of inequality, the widening gap between the rich and the poor, and where a lot of people cannot be able to even have 3 meals per day. Some struggle to have one, and certainly nobody should go hungry. And our children should be able to have quality education, because what makes the difference today in a globalized world is actually the level of education we are able to impact on our children. So all of this speak to social justice. Nobody should be denied quality health care because of the fact that he cannot be able to afford. If you hear what the president said, President Ruto, is about expanding the social security net coverage, that every citizen of Kenya will be covered under the new social security coverage. So this is the thinking of governments and employers around the world, and I think we must key into it, and this is how to address the injustice that is perverse in our society, and importantly, the inequality gap between the rich and the poor. To address the issue of child labor in Africa, which is very perverse, is actually to get children in school. If you look at the statistic coming out from Nigeria, at the point it's been said that more than 20 million workers are out of school. And basically, these are children that will be tooled in the hands of undesirable elements to then convert them to child labor. So the best thing to do is to make primary and secondary education free and compulsory. If you do that, you'll be able to get many of our children out of the streets, and once they have quality education, they will be able also to have decent way of living. So I think that is one area that we need to address the issue of street trading and getting children below the age of 14 and 15, or even below the age of 18, actually being used as child labor. I think is something that the ILO is against. There is actually a convention against child labor, and we have ratified that convention. So the best way is actually to get these children in school, not actually on the streets or actually out of school.
Unemployment seems to be on the rise, and listening to other African presidents here in Kenya, there's this conversation about the need to create more jobs. What would be your advice on this particular agenda on the table of Africa?
Look at the microeconomic indices around Africa, they are similar. The demographics, where a lot of youths have nothing to do, the issue of informality of our economies, the challenges are similar, and therefore, if we are to address some of these issues, collaboration is very, very important. Peer review mechanism is also very important, and working together to remove artificial barriers for goods and services to actually move around, including also expertise, I think is very important. I think the conversation is actually for Africa to unite and try to address its problem. Demanding for more loan from these Bretton Woods institutions cannot actually address our problem. We have enough resources that if we harness these resources and address the issue of corruption, Africa will be one of the best and prosperous countries, and people will be rich. But what is happening is that we go cap in hand trying to look for resources, whereas we are sitting on enormous resources that need to be harnessed, both human capital and also other forms of resources that we have, especially mineral resources. So Africa is not a poor continent. It's just about management and leadership. That is what is required to make Africa a prosperous country. So I agree entirely with the conversation here today that we need to do things differently if we want to achieve a different result. If we keep doing the same thing, we'll achieve the same result. If we do different things, then basically we'll be able to do things in a different way and get a different outcome altogether that will address our woes and address our social challenges, including the challenges in our economy, which is actually very perverse. And we shouldn't export our jobs. If we export raw materials, agri raw materials, mineral resources, without adding value to them, it means we are exporting our jobs. It's very easy. Just take, for instance, the issue of oil and gas. Nigeria has no reason to continue to import oil and gas refined products. We can't refine it and create the number of jobs required. Look at our mineral resources. In all the minerals we talk about, gold, all those minerals that are being taken away, chartered away in our country, we can actually add value to them. We can add value, and basically they are creating jobs. So I think basically what we need to do is to have industries, small and medium scale industries that can actually create the desired jobs that we require. Government alone cannot create the jobs. It's actually making sure that the private sector is working optimally, and therefore there is no part of Nigeria that cannot be able to have one industry based on raw materials or agri resources that is predominant in that area, we can be able to support those investors to create those industrial hubs that can be able to add tremendous value. And therefore, this is where we should actually expect the jobs. The jobs cannot actually fall from heaven. Jobs need to be created. And if we need to create jobs, take for instance in South Africa, all the vehicles that they are using are actually assembled in South Africa. They don't allow finished vehicles to be imported into South Africa. This is one example. Nigeria, with a population of over 200 million, we don't have any reason to continue to import finished product. We need to actually refine our raw material. We need to also continue to produce, and we can only do that through support for industrialization and the creation of medium and small-scale enterprises through a deliberate effort. Anything about solemnization will not actually address our issue. We need those industries to be supported, and in every locality, in every state, I think they can boast of one commodity, either mineral resources or agri-commodity, that if we add value, it's going to create jobs. I think that is what is going to assist us, and I think that's the conversation that is taking place here.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.